Welcome to the podcast. My name's CJ Collins. I'm with these hooligans, Jake, that's right, Jason Edwards, Blake Edwards, and Gray Handsome. Why did I say
Hancock?
Jake.
I like how your brain automatically made them the same person. And just,
Combined.
I know.
2 for 1.
Do it.
Buy one, get one free.
And I'll be your host this evening. Thank you.
Blason.
Blyson and Jake.
That's
And welcome to Phoenix Rising.
Great. Welcome to Phoenix Rising, where we don't know what we're talking about, and we just ran in circles.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. So first topic that we're going to how do you guys feel about mouse and keyboard versus controller? Keyboard master race.
Let's start.
Sitting here at a table with 4
Dude,
controller
let's
players
talk about,
historically.
yeah, all of us are mostly controller players, by the way. So,
Correct.
but Gray has more recently bought a PC, so he's like
have.
mouse and keyboard.
At least for the last 4 days, 5 days.
How do you feel about now that you've
Feels
given?
awesome.
Does it really?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
It's definitely uncomfortable because like I'm not used to like, like just going from like using the hands for different things. So like now like ADS and fire, for example, like for FPS, right? Like that was all left and right. Like left hand for ADS, right hand for, and then not only are you flipping those to where now it's shoot on the left instead of shoot right trigger, but it's all one hand.
Yeah.
And so as well as movement. And so
it's hard to train your brain to do it at first, right?
The whole time I feel like the whole time I'm playing, no matter what it is, I feel like I'm thinking so freaking hard. And like it's to
and
the
if
point,
you're thinking, you're losing most times.
And like it was to the point that like, I was playing Overwatch where like I have like one character out of like the 30 or something that like I have over 250 hours on, just one character.
Yeah.
And like I had no idea how to rotate, and like I didn't know where to like position myself, and like I forgot what my abilities did because I just had to think so hard about like, okay, it's tab. No, tab is scoreboard, right? Like the whole time it's like, which shift is it?
Yep.
Like, do I have to reach all the way over
It's
here?
like you don't realize how much muscle memory you have after playing with a controller. Like you just know the way it feels, so you just instinctively do it. That's why like it's easy to pick up new video games like that. But like, yeah, I totally. That's one thing I experienced too.
Saturday and Sunday, I like dumped some time in. Like Saturday night and then Sunday, I didn't have shit going on, and so I just dumped some time into it.
Yeah.
And like it felt really, really, really good. Like tracking is way easier.
Yeah.
And like more effective. Like, just the quickness with which you can change speed. Like if somebody goes from sprinting to like changing direction, like depending on how you have your settings on a controller, like it's not going to react the same way.
Sure.
Like the change in speed isn't always going to be there, right? Unless you're have like crazy fine-tuned settings on your joysticks. Whereas like a mouse, it's just like you can like follow it no matter where it goes, whatever it is you're tracking. Like in Call of Duty, where everybody's kind of on the same level, whereas like in Overwatch, people can be like, flying above you or like jumping all over the place, and you're having to do all these crazy movements. For me, it was way easier to do that. But I mean, that's 5 days of experience on mouse and keyboard.
Have you used the mouse and keyboard really at all, Jace?
Mm-mm. I tried it a little bit at DreamHack.
Oh yeah, when we were playing
One.
Rogue Company or whatever it was.
Rogue Company.
Yeah.
Rogue One is Star Wars.
How do you-
Rogue One is the movie.
How was that like? Just the little bit you did do.
I knew the basics of it from just literally watching streams.
Yeah.
And understanding the layout.
But it's hard to get your fingers to do it, right?
Yeah, and just to reach certain things and the combinations and the right time to do stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, like Gray said, with controllers, just instinctively, we know that you've got a trigger on either side. You've got your 4 buttons, whether it be on an Xbox or PlayStation, and they do similar things across a few games. I have always thought it would be fun to be good at mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
I think.
So you want to be Shroud? Yeah. Me too.
Well, there's a difference between fun and absolute godlike. But no, like Gray said, the tracking I think has always looked fun, and I even played around on Blake's PC once in Fortnite creative mode just to see what it felt like.
Okay.
And if you were good at building and then doing whatever it took to get up your ramp and run some 90s up and then edit, I feel like it could be really fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to sweat as hard as these guys do. But the ADSing on a mouse, I thought it was really seamless. You just do like a
yeah.
from what I can remember.
Yeah.
It would take some training and getting those muscles to respond to those sort of
because it's like a new part of your hand that you're using
angles.
A bunch. Yeah.
You're going from sitting like this to now more correct anatomical position.
Yeah.
By turning out this way, and so your muscles are like, okay, hold on, ready.
I never thought about that. You are like, it's like completely out from in. Yeah.
I never thought about ergonomics until I used an ergonomic mouse. Because like I have one, and like my hand just kind of is there.
Oh yeah.
And like I don't have to like stretch.
I need one of those. That mouse feels good.
It
just like
it's
sits
great.
naturally in place. On
exactly.
the mouse.
And like your thumb knows where to go, and like your pinky knows where to go, and like you don't have to worry about like it just takes one less variable away when like you're trying to like learn it or like trying to like grind and get better with it. And it's like if I had to worry about how to put my hand on the mouse to make it the most comfortable, that would be one more thing, like one more obstacle that I would have to like get through to be able to like actually grind and get better at it. Whereas like with that mouse, my hand is just there. And so like I don't have to worry about like figuring out where my hand goes. I just have to worry about the controls.
Yeah.
They designed the mouse for the hand. You didn't make the hand have to learn the mouse, not the other way around.
Right. Whereas like every console has its own shaped and sized and weight Xbox controller or controller in general.
Yeah.
Like even Xbox controllers, like like the Elite controller that you have, you have one too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Elite controller is going to be far more dense and heavier and have like that smoother finish compared to like, my shitty knockoff plastic one with paddles.
Yeah.
And like, whereas like with the PC, it seems somewhat more universal, I guess. Like R is always reload.
Yep. For the most part, yeah.
Right.
It's kind of, but like that's the same thing like squares or like Square
X.
and X. Yeah.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
They're labeled differently.
Yeah.
Whereas like on PC, it's always R because it's the keyboard.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like because keyboard's a keyboard and a mouse is a mouse, regardless of what the size and the shape is. Whereas like the different controllers, like the joysticks for PlayStation are in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I was an Xbox guy and then I switched to PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. I was saying that's why I hate the PlayStation controller is the placement of the left stick.
Yeah.
I like it more higher up.
It goes back to those ergonomics.
Ergonomics.
Just those the angles of yourself anatomically.
Yeah.
That left Xbox, we're used to this, and I angle my hands a certain way to reach that. When I hold a PlayStation controller, I got it.
But that's a cool point. What you said is everything's the same on a keyboard across the board.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we see how Phil, struggled at the Madden tournament because it was on PlayStation and he's used to Xbox.
Yeah.
So X on the Xbox controller is to the left side of the buttons, whereas on PlayStation, X is the bottom one.
Yeah.
So like he was struggling looking at the route runners, seeing, X, that's going to be the left button. And then he would click the wrong one. It went to the wrong guy, threw an interception.
His mind responded instantly. His body reacted.
Yep.
I did not know. Yeah,
I've played in FIFA tournaments, and I'm like an Xbox FIFA player from like way back, and like it's the same kind of thing. Like you'll have like a prompt, or you'll have like like a bar that comes up, like a power bar for like a shot or a pass or something, and it's like or like timed finishing with like FIFA 19 and FIFA 20.
Yeah.
And like you have to double tap it, but oftentimes it'll give you like a certain prompt or whatever. And like I had to play in a couple FIFA tournaments at my old job that was like on PlayStation, and like I'm an Xbox player, and like I still won because kids are trash, but because
I'm still the best.
But like I get in front of goal, and instead of like shooting it, I like cross it up over the goal. And like it's not even close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? What are you doing? And then I realize it's me, and I don't know what I'm doing with the controller.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that like just how different those two things are, right? Like between the Xbox and the PS4, like the controller's different. It just has different, like it's not necessarily like instinctively like you can switch over. Because I remember when I was Xbox for a long time until like 2013, 2014. And then I bought a PlayStation mostly because the COD community switched over from Xbox to PlayStation. So I was like, I have to play on a PlayStation controller now. And what I found is like it took me 4 or 5 months of playing with that controller before I kind of got it. And now I can switch back and forth really, really easily. Like it's not a problem at all. Like I understand it, and my brain automatically kind of switches because of the muscle memory I've developed.
You've logged enough hours on each controller,
but it's like when you look at that compared to like how PC has to think it's different. And I'm pretty good with the mouse and keyboard as well. So it's like I've trained my my brain through so many hours of doing all three, and it just took so much time to get there. And it's like a big investment to do those things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's daunting.
Yeah, it is daunting. Like it's just like learning a new game, right? Like I want to try and learn to play League of Legends, and I'm like, there's so many things I have to learn, right? Like it's like having to take on a new like project in the house or whatever. It's like the way you think about it is very similar. Like, dude, I want to be the best at this, but I really don't want to invest that much time.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. But at the end of the day, I prefer controller just because I'm comfortable with it. I do plan on getting better at mouse and keyboard just because, like Jason
you gotta
said,
log the hours, dude. Yeah.
But that being said, do we see aim assist being fair on controller in cross-platform games?
100% fair.
Why?
Because of tracking. The mechanics are different for a mouse and keyboard. You're having to rely on learning after logging hours, sensitivity on moving a joystick back and forth.
Sure.
Whereas you have the tracking, it has its sensitivity you can adjust also. But on a mouse, very, very simply put, and I know it's not this simple, it's point and click.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? There's a
put the mouse on the thing and push the button.
just click his head, bro. Just click his head.
Like a random thought. Do you guys ever like when you're at work and you're messing around on your computer, just like try and click stuff as quick as you can?
Oh, all the time.
Just like practice.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
flicking
all
or whatever on like your work computer.
On the job, you just go.
Sometimes like when I
that's on my Amazon pages.
When I was in like the corporate America and I was doing it, like sometimes I would just stop and just like close my eyes and like pretend I was playing a game and how I would click stuff. Like it was.
That's how you got.
That's an addiction. Okay.
I was gonna say, that sounds like GA, Gamers Anonymous. Like a 12-step program.
It's like, what are you doing, CJ? I'm just practicing. Because the reason I do it is because like, so like muscle memory. It's very much like, what am I doing when I push this button? And I visualize myself doing that thing and trying to just memorize how to do it, just to become a better player. You know, it's stupid, but
no, absolutely, you can physically make yourself a little bit better at something by just
thinking about it and
just forming it in your mind.
Yeah.
I did that with basketball growing up. Just love shooting, and you just like you watch games growing up, and you watch form and players, and it's just like just copy the player.
Yeah.
Right. They've logged the hours, and you can kind of tweak your form to be around. You're not gonna, get it exactly. But if you like manifest it, right? It's the same. That's a real thing.
Yep.
Think it into existence.
Think it into existence.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say things into existence. I just talk about them until they become real. So it's the same thing. I need $1 million. I need $1 million. I wake up and say that all the time.
It'll fall from the ceiling right now. It doesn't work, CJ.
No, that was the wrong. You needed a.
There it is. Yeah, there's $1 million falling from the ceiling. But no, backpacking off what Blake said, like about. Jason,
I brought us down. I took us down the wrong road. I made a left turn when I should have made a right. I feel you. I'd say.
But no, like about aim assist with, cross-platform games. Like absolutely, it's fair because I think at the end of the day, like if you take the average console player for any given first-person shooter, like let's I guess make a qualifier here. We're talking specifically about first-person shooters, right?
Sure.
Right, because there's no like.
Rocket
League, FIFA, Madden, like,
we can just say shooters.
Well, yeah, shooters in general, but like shooters that, like, okay.
I wonder if you could get a mechanical advantage by playing on PC somehow. Like, I haven't seen it before.
Building in Fortnite.
Yeah, building in Fortnite would be one. So, like, definitely FPS is only.
That's what I was gonna say. I think if you take the average player across, any cross-platform game versus PC, Xbox, PlayStation, right? If you take the average player and pair them up against each other, it's going to be very hard to find a delineation between the three.
Sure.
Or between the two console or, controller versus PC. I think if you take average versus average, normal, mid-rank versus mid-rank, it's going to be very hard to find a big difference between the two. But if you take the best of the best PC versus the best of the best console, PC wins, in my opinion.
Depends
because
on the game.
I think it has a higher ceiling. I think,
definitely.
Right. It has a definitely higher
if
ceiling.
you throw that mouse and you can spin around, definitely.
And that is why aim assist is fair, because if you have a cross-platform game that you plan on making competitive, which clearly Call of Duty has, because they have a huge esports following, they have a huge esports presence, like historically.
Yeah.
A bunch of people, like it's always been a PlayStation thing, right? But now it opens it up, which is smart because then you get more people involved, you get a bigger player base, and then you get more fans across multiple platforms, right?
Yeah.
Genius. More people need to do
cross-platform is the best.
Cross-platform is the way to go. But
that's,
a whole separate conversation and, licensing and business, right?
Gross.
But, like, if you're going to do that, like you have to do that. You have to have aim assist
Yeah.
for controller play. You just have to.
Sure.
You have to. Whether it's controller on
That,
PC
or you have to-
controller on
You have
console.
to like, or you have to like be like, hey, you have to play on this thing. You know what I mean? Like you have to
Right.
make it, which limits
Right.
your audience.
Right,
You don't want to
exactly.
do
You
that.
alienate people,
Yeah.
right? And the whole goal of, especially given the way esports is growing in general, is to bring as many people in as possible.
sure.
You don't want to turn people away. And if you
Right.
go through the process of making it cross-platform, you don't want to swap around and say, all right, well, sucks if it's PC, but it's controller only.
Yep.
Like,
And I think it's dope that Fortnite still lets like cross-platform people play all together, right? Because
Yeah.
like the mouse and keyboard kids normally win, though, right? At the end of the
course.
day, like Nick
Yeah.
Merckx, I think is up there, but he's not like winning.
He's never
and he
first place.
Ghost,
Yeah.
Ghost Aiden.
Yeah,
Who's the other
is Aiden
controller?
on a controller too?
Yep.
Yeah. So like those, so you can tell like it definitely limits them, but they still do it because it's what they know and that's what they want to do, kind of
for
thing.
sure.
Because if they really wanted to win, they would switch over.
Preference is a huge thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like if I want to play on my thing, let me play on my thing. And I think that you let them do that even if they're at a disadvantage. And if you want to win, you switch over to, mouse and keyboard. Because I think that you're right, like the ceiling is you're always going to be better and faster. Even with aim assist, you're still going to be better and faster. Like
I think it depends on the game because what we're seeing in Halo Reach as an example, and Summit broke it down, is the area of maintaining a shot.
okay.
Is what he touched on specifically.
Yeah.
You're seeing players are dominating Halo
Yeah,
Reach.
because they're more consistent because they're not having to track it every time.
Yep.
And yeah.
And it's a single fire semi-automatic
Yep,
DMR,
sure.
5 headshots for a kill, and the mouse and keyboard players are struggling. Where they are dominating though is the no scoping.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And you got a
'cause
couple
easily.
you got a couple CS:GO guys, Summit,
If
and
they
some other
just hit
guys,
it.
they can just they have that fine-tuned aiming.
Mhm.
And so you just look across the map with the Reach sniper, and they're just picking off heads.
Yep.
Because
Right.
they can move it pixel by pixel because they're that good. But then when you come across a controller player in a short to medium range 1v1 DMR fight,
Yeah, you just
controller
lose.
players are slapping.
Mm.
And so
And
those
that's-
mouse and keyboard players are dropping
Dude,
out of that game.
They're
if
all
you-
complaining too. They're getting mad about it, but it's like, where do you draw the line? Where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, like if we take away the aim assist, like they're not going to be able to keep up with anyone.
It's like a new meta too. Like, you know how like in a game like somebody runs a sub or an AR, instead of
Yeah.
running, it's like a mouse and keyboard and a controller,
Yeah.
for the close range fight stuff. I think that's a dope idea. I love that.
Yeah.
People are doing that for montage stuff. They're hitting the first two, like Eli X is a Halo sniping montage.
Yeah.
He'll hit a double kill with the controller, and you'll see him go like, and then he
Just switches to the
he went into like he got a Killtrocity on countdown, 2 with the controller, 4 with the mouse and keyboard.
It's crazy.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
so some people are doing that for content, and it's cool content.
actually
'cause you
kinda
see
sick.
them
that is
actually-
sick. I didn't know they're doing
See
that.
them switch mid fight.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or mid multi.
That's actually
I guess.
kind of gnarly.
Based off of what gun or what weapon you have
Yeah,
in what
using
moment.
the sniper rifle is what he was using specifically, but it was
Yeah.
nutty.
That
It's
is
actually kinda
I
crazy.
love cross platform. It's something like when we were like
It's the
16, I was like, dude would be like, yo, I'm a PlayStation player and I'm an Xbox player, and I'd be like, oh, we can't play together then. You know what I mean? Like that.
You
like
only
a-
had friends that played your platform.
Yeah, and like
100%.
it's totally like being a kid nowadays. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I still won't be friends with PlayStation people, but hey.
you'll still
I
play
had-
with them.
I had a PlayStation 1 before I had an Xbox, original Xbox, but I mean that was like
Because it was out before the Xbox. Was.
That's
my
the-
only
that's
game
true.
was like NASCAR
I played Grand Theft Auto 3.
99.
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5 on Game Pass, by the way.
Final
Change
Fantasy.
your life.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Final Fantasy 9.
They're
It's the best- It's the
reminiscent.
best Final Fantasy.
Ninja
Yeah.
loves Final Fantasy.
You're damn right. Because
Took
he's
8
a
of
smart
them.
man.
Took 8 of them to
Is
get
it?
it right. Sounds like. Nine's the best
Seven.
one.
7 is widely regarded as the best.
So
6 is great and makes people cry.
wow, this is a nice trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Anyway, mouse and keyboard. aim
Mouse and
assist,
keyboard. So-
100% fair.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's fair too. If you don't think it's fair, we want to hear in the comments below. Let us know why it's not fair, and if you do and you make a valid point, we will address it in the next podcast.
Listener
Yep.
mail.
Oh yeah, like listener
Where's
mail.
The chimes.
The chimes.
Oh, listener mail.
You've got mail.
What about? Can we get a license to the mail song from Blue's Clues?
Oh, that'd be dope.
That's.
I'd be all
Just
about
put
that.
that on a pad.
That is the
Yes.
move. I like it.
Yes. So,
Time.
Mail
time.
our next topic is Minecraft and esport.
I feel like you should start. You
Can
have
we
very
all just
strong-
vote at the same time, like 1, 2, 3, yes or no?
We can't do that yet. We must define esport.
Oh, okay. What is an esport? Somebody tell me.
esport is
For like
What is
that.
a
What is
collective?
what is a sport? Let's break it down. Root word sport.
Is backgammon a sport?
Can you compete to win money in front of an
Yes,
audience?
I think you can.
I've looked this up.
Therefore-
A sport is anything that requires A skill or physical exertion to complete a task at a competitive level, right? That is a sport.
Okay. Well,
Is NASCAR
Sure.
a sport?
And if we
Yeah.
want,
It's cars driving in
it
circles.
doesn't matter. It takes a skill.
right,
If you're gonna call esports a sport, you have to call NASCAR a sport. I truly believe
That's what
that.
I'm getting at.
Yeah.
right. But if we want to get super technical about this, because
Yeah.
if we want to tighten the definition and limit it to only certain things in certain games, right?
Yeah.
In terms of esports, then you have, like, technically speaking, like, NASCAR would not be a sport. Esports would not be called esports because it's not physical exertion, right? It's not, you're not using that part of your body. I mean, it's your arm.
Have you ever seen a
Your
kid jump
hands.
up and scream at another guy?
How do
Have
Get
you ever
wrecked!
heard about the
Oh!
physical demands of driving
I'm gonna put
in NASCAR?
I'm gonna put
blue
my
light
clip that
blue light effects? Yeah, they sweat buckets, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I've done 3-hour races. That shit's hard.
Yeah.
I came home and napped. I slept like 12 hours the night before.
What's the 24-hour race over in Europe? The
Le Mans.
The Le Mans, yeah, like
Le
that.
Mans.
Le Mans. There's 4 drivers, so it's you take an 8-hour shift or whatever. it is, 6-hour
Depends.
shift?
Depends on the team and the
Yeah.
funding. But
Sorry,
yeah.
really random. Yeah, like math. 6
hour?
hours. Yeah. So back to is esports, is Minecraft an esport? So what is an esport then?
I see an esport as any sort of group of people
Okay.
that can get together, play a video game for competition,
Yep.
and win money. If you can have a winner in a video game and there is competing for money, then it's an esport.
And attract an audience.
Yeah.
Sponsors. I think sponsors are a huge thing. It has to be a sponsored event because
Well, that's
you can get a bunch.
viewership.
Right, but you can get a bunch of people together and like put together a prize pool and then say, "Oh, I'm a pro player because I'm competing for money." It's like easy now.
Yeah. Because it's not like those large basement lands that people were holding of Halo
Right.
would be called an esport event.
Yeah, sure.
It's a bunch of guys landing. So
Like the
I
people
think,
that yeah.
I think that's
It was
true
the
also.
gaming club back in the day. You didn't even call it esports, right? You had the gaming club at school. So like it was esports
I mean,
back
we
then
were
though. Like
homeschooled, so we
oh
didn't have
really?
a gaming
That's a
club.
bummer. I'm
I
sorry.
also wasn't born in
backyard
the 70s
baseball.
like you either.
I was
so-
the Halo 2v2 champ in 2008 at Parkland High School. So
Pixar didn't happen.
I nope. That was 12 years ago. I have no picks. It didn't happen, I guess. Bummer. I think that you hit on something very a good thing, that like what defines an esports is definitely viewership and audience, right? So like I think it has to have not necessarily like, I'm trying to put this in a way that makes sense, but like if you have a bad game that's still competitive and there's people that watch it, it's still an esport, right? But if it's a bad game and nobody watches it, I don't know if it is an esport. Not because I think that it's not truly an esport, but I think that there's only really at the end going to be like 8 to 10 top esports titles in different genres, right? So like
Yeah.
what about the other 30 games underneath each of those genre of games? You know what I mean? Are they technically still esports titles? Yes, but is it
They
going to
just
be
don't
like
reach the viewership of the good games.
it's like pickleball, right? So like pickleball is a sport, right? This is a random sport, but like we can use
What is pickleball?
It's like a wooden paddle.
It doesn't have to be wooden. It can be whatever. But it's
But
essentially
a
like
rubber ball and are you talking about
yeah.
That's
Damn.
Is that the indoors?
That's
Yeah.
cricket, bro. What, paddleball?
Fine. Give me like an idea of like what's a
it's called
bad
something
sport
else.
that people don't watch but still people play it?
Cricket.
Cricket, sure. Cricket, that's
I mean,
fine.
people,
Badminton.
millions of people watch cricket. I
Yeah.
just don't understand it.
Exactly. So like I think that like
I don't
those
think it's a bad sport.
those
No,
are
it's not a bad sport.
those are
but
still
yeah.
sports, right? So you wouldn't call them not a sport, right?
bowling,
Yeah, sure, bad sport. But it's still like a big sport though. You know what I mean?
darts.
Fine.
It's on ESPN.
So like you could do the
Darts
same
is
thing.
lit.
Do the same thing,
Drone
but with
racing.
esport titles.
Drone racing's on ESPN.
I
That's a
think
Y'all
sport.
seen that?
That is 100% a
I
sport,
think-
dude.
love it.
Those dudes.
I'm all for it.
I think if there is a third party providing, I think if
Funds.
there is a third party hosting the event and there is a prize pool and there is a grand prize that is not paid for in entry fee.
Yeah.
I think it is an esport. And so if there is a third party that's putting on a Minecraft tournament, whatever that looks like, and there's it is sponsored by X and people are watching it and the winner gets X amount of money that is not equivalent to the money he paid to get there, then yes, it is an esport.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because
Tell me.
I don't see.
Gray, is that you?
Yeah, I'm taking your role this time.
You want to switch chairs?
Hudson, is that you?
Oh
Um,
my God!
oh, where's
Shots,
the shot?
shots, shots.
Drinking game.
Shout out to Hudson.
I don't see the sponsors being relevant in terms of comparing esport, not esport, because if you and I are playing one-on-one basketball out in the driveway, what are we doing? We're playing sports, right? Even though you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to go play sports and go shoot a basketball. But at the end of the day, you're playing sports outside, right? Because we're competing in a game.
Yeah.
So, the LAN you were talking about, if a bunch of kids in their basement set up a Halo LAN or something, that's still an esport in my opinion, because they are playing a video game to compete. There are no sponsors. There is no money.
Yep.
But they are still competing.
I use the word sponsored loosely.
I understand.
I meant more so like a third party hosting it. Like
Okay.
you and your buddies not getting together and putting $20 in a hat and winner takes $20. I'm saying like a third party comes along
40.
and say, hey, you guys all. I'm saying like 20.
40. You said more
math.
money. More money on the tournament, okay?
But no, if there's a company that comes along and say, hey, like you and your friends come play against these other people that I know
Yeah.
and that I got together, and the winner gets $1,000. That's a sponsor, I guess, but I meant sponsors and like a third party comes in and like runs it and organizes it, and like that makes it somewhat more official and like an actual considered esport. But like but at the same time, you could also say like if you go into a ranked playlist in Rocket League and play ranked Rocket League, that's still an esport.
That's my point. Because
Right.
I think if you compare it to sports as in actual sports, basketball, baseball, football, etc., you compare that to esports and like put it in the same
Right.
situation.
It's like a mimic game.
I see, us going in and playing ranked. I see that as esports.
Then I guess are we differentiating esports, or are we going to define events? Because now we're talking about events versus not an event. Because if sports just cover like the definition of what you're physically doing, then esports could be, I'm esporting at home by jumping into Apex, based on Blake's definition.
You are partaking in mirroring the activity of the professional players, and I guess that's what makes it an esport. Like if there is
Pro players will say, I play esports competitively, If
But they wouldn't say that. They would I play League of Legends, professionally.
I'm a pro league player.
Yeah,
I guess so, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like
at the same time,
But like
Yeah,
a pro basketball player would say like I'm an NBA player. I'm a pro basketball player.
It's hard because like I had this conversation with like schools recently where it's like they want an esports program. I'm like, okay, which esport? You know what I mean? That's like saying I want an athletic department. Which game am I playing? Right? So like esports is like it's definitely a combination of multiple games. It's not necessarily like, but like how do you classify it into that esports umbrella?
Wherever there's money.
So you think money? I think that's a good example of like what it is. I also think that something we haven't hit on is a developer support, right? So like, is there a ranked playlist in your game? And like, is the audience or is the game in nature designed to be competitive, or is it more like community and collective and social? You know what I mean? Because I think that esports can be social, but I think it derives more to a competitive nature of a game, not necessarily like the social aspect of it. I think the social aspect comes because it's competitive kind of thing, not the other way around.
So would you consider speedrunning an esport?
Yes.
Solo player games as well.
I hate it though. Like I don't like calling it an esport. I don't know why, because it's like for me, if it's not a top title, I don't want to call it an esport. For example, I don't want to call Minecraft an esport.
Halo speedrunners.
Yeah, but I say Halo speedrunners, Titanfall speedrunners,
Yep.
anything speedrun. GEQ on YouTube, shit's crazy. It's insane.
I don't know.
It's immensely skillful.
But isn't there like a game out there that you don't want to call an esport, and you don't know why you don't want to call it
Farming
an esport?
Simulator? But guess what? There's millions.
Yeah,
of
that
dollars.
one. Farming Simulator is like one that I've just kind of accepted.
There's
Is an
hundreds
esport.
of thousands of dollars that people are making playing it. So who am I to
just
talk
because
crap?
you want to call it an esport doesn't mean you have to like it and agree with it. Because
I-
I don't
It's a great point.
I don't see
That's true.
Minecraft as an esport. I'm like, that's weird to me, but to someone else it is. So if you can compete in it for money, one person against another person or a group of people against another group of people, it is an esport.
And do it.
Doesn't mean I have to
Chase
like
it.
it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I wouldn't watch a Minecraft event, but they're competing in gaming.
You wouldn't watch them.
I would
build.
watch it out
There's-
of pure curiosity.
It's
like,
just like
how do you compete?
I think it's. I also think that like Minecraft isn't an esport because there's no like you have to be very objective on how you win that game, right? So like it has to be like a mod or something that you create in the game in order to do it. And like the one thing I think I go back to all the time is like you could do a creative thing where like you use you get 4 hours and you have to build something like a castle or whatever, and like whoever builds the prettiest castle wins, or the biggest castle wins. But that's very objective. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
It's like judging. Yeah.
it's like gymnastics. It's like they hit that one thing, and that's why they are better than everybody else. But it's kind of like, I don't. I just don't like the objective nature of that one specifically. And I'm trying to figure out why I don't like Minecraft as an esport. And I think it's that objectiveness.
You took it personally.
I do. I don't know
all
why.
Over Facebook, like
no, I'm angry about it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're FPS guys to our nature, so it's kind of outside our realm of understanding of what competing in a game is.
Yeah,
and it's we don't reach that. That way.
I would definitely be willing to admit that I think Minecraft is an esport. I just don't like it.
Where's the
that's a different place, right? I'm in a different spot, right?
I'm impressed.
Oh, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Oh my god. I can't turn this off now. I don't know how to do that. Wow, Jason. There we go.
Nice. Much better.
Well then,
sees the pad on the camera that's still going.
Yeah. There's a bunch of buttons over here that we shouldn't push.
I told you we need to move him far away. I predicted this.
Yes. It's still
I just
going.
need them right here so I can look at it that way, and I'll have it memorized. I almost have them all memorized anyway.
It's all good. Okay, I think that does anybody else want to add on if this is an esport or not? Anything else?
Not on that.
Yeah, I think it's really
yes.
I think I'm trying to figure out how to define esports, and I think that the definition is it has something to do about video games and the word video game and how you compete in video games, essentially. So, but it's definitely an ongoing conversation. I feel like that it hasn't been fully developed. Like if I say esports to you, what does that really mean? Because it could mean a lot of different things.
Very broad.
It could vary by person too.
Yeah, exactly. So comment below what you think is an esport and what you think isn't an esport, specifically regarding Minecraft and why it is or isn't a Minecraft.
Tell CJ he's wrong. People making money.
I already know I'm
It's
wrong.
an esport.
Okay, you don't have to
change his mind.
Remind him.
I'll admit that I'm wrong. Okay. The next topic is future games / things we are looking forward to for 2020.
Project A. Project A.
I still haven't seen that trailer.
So sick.
Oh my
I have to watch it.
gosh.
I'll send it to you.
I keep meaning to
So
do it.
sick.
I will put it in the link below. It's like every FPS player's dream of what a game should be.
Sick.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's going to be cross-platform. League isn't.
I hope.
I didn't even think about that. But
Why
like,
would it be? How are you
How
going
you
to
play League on a
play
controller?
that on a console?
You play Smite on a controller?
Right, because Smite is WASD to move in third person, and you can use a joystick for movement. League is click to move. How are you going to do that? Click the joystick?
True. It'd be like you'd have to have a different POV.
Right. You have to have a different mechanics, which
is Diablo on consoles? Sorry, just
No.
randomly.
If it is, I don't know. I've never seen anybody play it on
I don't
console.
know. Yeah. Well, so Project A, you got to play on mouse and keyboard. There's no option. Well, maybe it is, but that's an FPS.
Right, and
Right,
Overwatch is on console,
Oh, that's true.
but it's not cross-platform.
That's a bummer, by the way.
Well,
That's like
is it?
The skill gap.
Because here's the thing: there was an adapter for a while. This was in 2017, and Jeff Kaplan, the main guy, the head developer for Overwatch, he was thinking about and sent out a tweet thinking about cross-platform. And this was at the time where you could go buy that adapter to plug in like a keyboard and mouse into your Xbox.
Okay. Yep.
Right. And so everybody on console started doing that because they were like, "Yo, why not?"
It's gonna smoke them. Yeah.
Right. So there was this whole big thing in Overwatch where all of a sudden, like within, I think it was like 3 months, the entire top 500 on Xbox was keyboard and mouse players. It was like some astronomical number. Yeah. Because in a game like that, like in Overwatch, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like how you guys were saying, like game to game, like with Halo and stuff like that. In Overwatch, it's not even close. It changes completely how you can play different characters.
Yeah.
Like Genji goes from being like okay on console to like you can do so much more with just one character, like simple mechanics, 2 moves, and it changes everything.
Yep.
And the people on keyboard and mouse like rose crazy, and so they were like, "Nah, cross-platform's not happening." And he sent another tweet like 2 months later. It was like, "That's not ever gonna happen." And like people still tweet at him all the time, and he tweets back, "It's like, sorry, not in our plans for Overwatch."
Yeah.
So I mean,
it makes sense. No, I mean like it's.
I think it's kind of like what you were saying about Fortnite with Nick Merckx and Aiden. Like if they want to,
it could, but you need like a new Overwatch league, right? Like another franchise with
a console Overwatch
console.
I guess I mean. And then you're looking at those players who could rise to the top, and someone could make a career out of being known as that guy.
Yeah.
Who was the best controller player in Overwatch, and he broke into some top
contenders. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of what Nick Merckx and Aiden are recognized for. They're the Fortnite controller gods, and I see
a nice wig for Apex.
Okay, Project A.
Project A
Have you
looks
seen the trailer?
sick.
I have not.
Dude, it
Man.
looks sick.
I gotta
Imagine
I'm watching
it's,
it after this.
it's like CS:GO mixed with Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
wow.
I'll put it in
So-
the link below so you guys can watch it. But it's dope.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
so first person shooter, like, but it's like team objective based. So like each character that you or like has a different like loadout or like
Yeah.
skill set and like different like abilities that you can use to like implement a fight, like smoke screens or like walls that you can put up or like a wall of smoke that like you can shoot through but can't see through, right? And it's like very isolated, or like different jumping abilities or dashing abilities or movement abilities or like damage abilities, and it's like all these different things, and but at the same time it's like it looks like CS:GO,
Yeah.
like eerily similar. And I'm curious what you think about this, because you also play League or trying to play League and Riot
Failing.
Games. Do you like from the trailer it looks like they've recycled a lot of their, I guess, character loads from League into that?
I would see that just because the IP.
Right.
But I mean, I don't care. Who cares?
Like, oh yeah, no, I'm just
Uh,
saying like, it's interesting
yeah.
because you go from top down click to move to FPS like objective, and all of
Yeah,
a sudden
it's,
like
like,
you can
different.
do the League abilities, but like right there in front of you.
I think that's really smart too, because like they have this huge character pool that they can just grab from that already have like some kind of story behind them.
it's like
of-
90 characters or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's nutty
Hmm.
for sure.
When's that supposed to come out?
They
there a
said
date
I tweeted
or-
at them recently and let them know that they said they would let me know in 2020 and that they're late.
I would assume either
Holiday.
best late this year. I
Yeah.
would assume like mid 2021.
Well, I mean, like Riot announced like 8 different games, right? So
Right.
like they I'm sure that they're like building up each one of those departments to do
Right,
their
spreading
thing,
thin,
and
yeah.
they just gave us as much as they could at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of those times those games are done, it's just like the advertising campaign that comes on the on on the backside of them, and like really, I feel like Riot's gonna make sure that it's a good game. Where like Call of Duty's kind of released a little bit broken, there's a bunch of bugs and stuff. I feel like Riot
Right.
won't let that happen.
Well, even like Splitgate. I heard about Splitgate years before I even saw it.
Oh,
Like,
really?
at DreamHack in 2018,
Yeah.
the year that we went. Like when and
That's
Splitgate was
1
there.
year.
Yeah, that was a
What?
year ago.
That's 1 year, not
It's-
years. I'm just
2018 is 2 years.
No, I'm
ago.
saying I heard about Splitgate years before that.
Oh, gotcha.
before DreamHack.
Right. I heard about
Okay,
I heard
I-
about Splitgate in like 2015.
It's supposed to be like another Halo
right.
Yeah.
meets Portal.
Right. And I heard about
Okay.
that after I like sold back Halo 5
Oh,
the
really?
first time. Like,
awkward.
And, right. But it was like, I mean, it had to have been like 2015.
Was this a bad day or a good day?
Well, I was excited because I was like, whoa, Splitgate, that sounds awesome. And then like nothing ever
theory.
happened. Right. But then like 2-3 years later, all of a sudden I'm playing a beta or like an alpha or something.
Yeah.
No, it was a beta at DreamHack. And I was like, oh, that's this game.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thought this like
It came and went
crashed.
quick too. That was here and then gone. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
I love the premise. I just feel like, I don't know.
I wonder
Poor
if that was a,
execution.
I wonder if that was a
Yeah.
marketing thing, or I don't know.
I don't know what it was. Maybe they were just testing it. They're like, okay, now we got to go back and fix this, and then we're gonna release it again in 2 years or whatever.
2020 Halo Infinite.
That's what
yeah.
I was gonna say.
I was,
Next.
about,
That's kind of the
I was
big-
waiting for one of you to like say it.
I was waiting for the rest of the conversation to finish up, so I didn't interrupt. But before that, we have to wait and watch all the other Halos be released to PC.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we're about
Forgot
to
about
see
that.
a lot more content of what people are going to accomplish on mouse and keyboard in Halo 1, 2, which will
Yep.
be ridiculous. Halo 2
Halo
specifically.
2 is gonna
Playing
be
those
insane.
playing those campaigns at 200 frames a second.
Yep. It's going to look amazing. The only thing is we're going to be probably missing the button combos you used to be able to do
Yeah.
in Halo 2 specifically.
Yeah.
BXR, BXB, double shotting, all that stuff. We'll
That's
see
true.
if-
It's not called the BXR on the mouse and keyboard. It's called something
It's called
else.
the click space shift.
V is melee, so you have to
I-
melee. Yeah, so
I
it's
don't
like the click melee.
What if you change your keybinds?
However you want to say
All right,
it.
fine,
Whatever.
whatever.
You
Never
can-
mind.
you can make it
is the-
BXR.
Well, it's
BXR,
not
yeah.
a BXR.
Mine is the F4 Alt, you know.
Control Alt Delete.
Windows P7.
It's the Control Alt Delete, dude. Alt
So-
F4.
Yeah. But no, Infinite, I'm seeing tweets of people who are like, just won't be patient. And they're like, oh, countdown to
Yeah.
Infinite, you know. Still looking back at the trailer and be like, oh, we weren't given gameplay. It's like, we know we weren't given gameplay. That's, if they wanted to call it gameplay, they really could.
Yep.
Because that's the opening to the campaign.
Right.
You don't see any actual player
There's live
controlled
game engine
action.
footage. Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
By the way, I
They-
hate that they do cinematic. Cinematic trailers do nothing for me. Right? Like I don't care about cinematics.
You
I
have
want to
no
see
soul.
gameplay.
It's cool
Yeah.
one time, and then it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe
Whatever.
a teaser, and that's about it. Like
Because
even
they-
that, like I'm like, I want to see the gameplay. I don't care about your stupid
Exactly.
cinematic trailer. No,
Because
They
it
did that
doesn't
at
tell you
E3
anything about the game.
E3 2018.
yeah,
Is when we first saw the Warthog driving. Well, first
Yeah.
off, just people walking around were like, "What is this?" And it took like 2 minutes.
Yep.
Then you see the Warthog going through with so
Right.
I wish
Yeah,
I
we
was
need the
there.
Halo
Dude,
game.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that means they've been working on this game for like 5-6 years though.
hell
that's
That's
great. But it's like 343 specifically with Halo was very guilty of not caring really what the community said.
Sure.
People
Good.
people
Take their
like
time,
T-
make a great game.
people
Until
like
3 years
T-squared.
after Halo.
Well,
5
right,
came
but
out.
like not even during their current games. Halo 5 was an example of like
Yeah.
different updates and competitive settings and stuff like that. And there were former pro T-squared got in trouble because he called out and was like, go play campaign, you noob, or something like that. And he's like, and they shut him down for it. He was off casting for a while.
Oh wow.
And so they got
Bummer.
really defensive
Hashtag
about
free
it.
T2.
Yeah, right. They got really defensive about it. Lead on the, I believe, lead on the 343 project for either Halo 5 or Infinite,
Mhm.
like literally came out and said like, I'm tired of hearing about this. And I don't know if I'm mixing that up with something else, but I think that's what he came out and said. And
It's very
like,
interesting.
that's not what you want to hear from a lead developer on something like this. And so
Yeah.
I'm fine with the time spent on it. It's actually great, and it's the highest budgeted project game of all time. It's like at least $500 million have gone into this thus
crazy.
far.
That's what I think we're gonna see in like coming years, though. Like people are gonna take a
Yeah.
lot more time, but
Oh,
they're
for
gonna
sure.
make dope games. Like
Well, look at-
better.
Also,
Look
that
at
being
GTA.
said, all the time, the longer they wait on it, because each year we're like, E3, when are they going to say Halo? When are they
Yeah.
going to say Halo? With each year they've waited, it's applying more pressure to them to release a good game. So it's like a higher
Yeah.
risk, higher reward
That's
type thing
right,
the longer
yeah.
they wait.
It better be
So
like it has
if-
to be amazing.
If that game's not amazing off of launch because of the amount of time,
Halo's
it's going to
done.
die. It's
Yeah.
gonna
Halo's
die.
done.
Straight up. I hate saying it, but that's
It's just the
reality.
truth.
So
Yeah.
E3 this year needs to be gameplay.
You hear that? Pressure, bitches. I was so mad at Halo 5. The
Oh, yeah.
campaign was awful,
yeah.
and it wasn't fun, and it didn't feel right, and like
Competitive settings had radar, and
yeah,
That was so
they
bad.
had
See,
full auto weapons.
they
in
didn't
competitive.
change that until 2 years in.
it ended up really good, but if they had had those settings off
to
of
begin
launch,
with.
it would have been a much better game.
It's just
It would have
amazing
taken
how
off more.
disconnected the developers are from the player base. So like when I go in to run a tournament for a game I've never run, like Super Smash Brothers or NFL, 2 tournaments I've run in the past 2 months that I had never run before.
Mhm.
I actually was like, okay, people would tell me like, hey, here's the rules, and I'll be like, okay, here's the rules. But then I would wait until the event, and I would talk to the players, and they would tell me right away what they wanted. And it was like, all I have to do is wait and listen, and then I know
It's
what they
different.
want, and then I change it, like, and that's how any event I go into, if I don't know the game, I just listen to the players for like 5 minutes, and they'll tell me exactly what I want.
I think developers get really defensive and arrogant about that sort of thing.
Yeah, they like
and people and
Epic
like
Games.
the pros call out Epic Games as an example, and pros and high level streamers will call out like what they're looking for, and then they're like, well, we want to pander to the casuals, like Fortnite with the mechs, right? They were losing big streamers because they left those mechs in there.
Yeah.
There were people, Courage JD was one that
I remember he was like,
absolutely
why are the mechs in the game?
popped off on
Lipped.
stream.
Yeah.
And they said they wanted to help bad players win games. And
Yeah.
it's like, that is the exact opposite direction you want to go.
Sure.
You don't want a game to be impossible for people, but as soon as you start losing your high tier, you start losing essentially your marketing.
Yep.
Right? Because streaming now is a thing. It wasn't when we
mouth,
were growing
right.
up.
Yeah.
And so if you lose those players, you're going to lose game traffic.
Yeah, even if it hurts the casual base, like give the casual place a different place to play then, right? Like you call it casual and you call it ranked, right? Like there's 2 different areas, and like I get the like your casuals are the majority, right? Like those are the people that are buying your game, and if but they don't really know what they want.
They also leave quicker.
Yeah, they do. They're like in and out, and like they don't understand that like when you have an unbalanced thing, they're just cool with it because they get to use it. But like at the end of the day, like it makes them a better player if you force them into a realm that's more competitive, right? Like, and I think that we neglect that. Like we're just trying to pander to casuals. We're like, stop listening to casuals. Like just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like let the hardcore people decide what the rules are for the game, and then make that the game.
9-year-olds were complaining that they were getting dumped on in Fortnite.
Who cares what the
And
9-year-olds?
They gave them flying robots that could stomp people to death.
Yeah.
And
Because I really think that's even if you make a game, making a game super competitive only helps everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it like, and then like, okay, if you are gonna divide them by rank. Let the golds play with the golds, and the masters play with the masters.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy. Like they're playing in their rank, and maybe the masters are unhappy because they have a longer matchmaking time. But at the end of the day, why stop being so good at the game? Go scrim people. People if you're that good anyway. Like you're gonna scrim anyway. You don't need the play. Let's use the custom lobbies.
What got me with Fortnite was the fact that person after person after person, big streamers, everybody complained about it.
Yep.
And then they released a patch for it. They're like, oh, we've heard what you guys have said. We're not going to take out the mech. We're going to just nerf it just a little bit in this area, but we're still going to leave it in there.
Yeah.
It's like, have you listened to anybody?
Yep.
Nobody wants it. Take it out.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
It's kind of amazing, and like there's got to be somebody at the end of the rope that's like, this is good and here's why kind of thing. And but every single time I hear that conversation, it's just like, okay, well then make a separate playlist for it. Then just create something else for those people that like that thing, and then let other people not have to deal with it. Because I stopped playing Call of Duty because like I don't really want to go find a game battles match. It takes me forever to find it. But I also don't like public lists because there's riot shields and claymores and all kinds of stupid stuff, and I can't get away from it. There's no way to escape it right now, and it's like, so I just won't play.
We ran into that Saturday night.
Yeah, it's just like, and I don't want to play. Like, I want a ranked playlist that lets me play competitively, doesn't have stupid stuff in the game, and there we go, and it's easy for my access of, like, if I have 10 minutes, I can just click the button, find the game, be connected with the other people, and play the competitive roles, as opposed to, like, using an external, like, Faceit or ESEA or whatever you want, game battles.
Gunfight's 3v3 now.
Oh, did they release that?
As of today.
Ah, that's cool. Same maps?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Imagine, that's a lot of people for those little maps.
Shipment? Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's hectic. It's going to get intense.
Yeah, it is.
Apex released their update today, too. Big one.
Force?
Oh, is it?
No, it's they have like 7 different playlists that they're going to roll out.
Yeah.
Gradually.
Every 2 days they're going to, like, switch it out. So
I saw they're doing a tournament thing for their playlist, too.
Yes. They are
tournament settings or
something.
Yeah,
like
some tournament settings that I need to look at the details. But I know it's going to be better for like a private server for like actual competitive. That you have to get like verified or partnered or
like
something.
Like an Apex key or whatever.
So it's not like anybody can go make their own server.
Yeah.
But it's like, for example, an organization like us can be like, hey, we want to run a tournament for Apex. Can we get partnered so we can have our own private server? And it's like better for the spectator too. I forgot the details of it. But
the better spectating options and rolling through camera views and stuff to keep track of everything.
It's just like lame. Like if you're Apex, wait a year, release your game, and have all that stuff in it. You know what I mean? Like I don't get like the whole releasing soon thing.
I agree with you, but at the same time, they didn't expect Apex to be this big. It just was kind of
it blew up in their faces.
It was the filler game until the new Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
New Star Wars game. And then it blew up and they're like, wow, this is big. Okay, we're going to put more focus in this now.
Plus, it's all recycled.
Yeah.
It's Titanfall.
Yeah.
It is.
Characters, guns,
awesome.
Everything, movement.
Yeah, Titanfall's terrible
Engine.
too.
Shut up.
I hated it.
Shut up.
It's a terrible game.
Titanfall 2.
God, kid, you're bad. Get out of here.
Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 was the most underrated FPS game.
I believe that.
Ever.
Titanfall 1 was the most exciting game aside from Destiny 1 that I played on the original on Xbox One.
You guys are on drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know what they put in that game, but there was like some brainwashing software.
You've played it.
Yeah.
How much time did you play it for?
I didn't put a ton of hours.
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Probably like 10, 15
great.
hours maybe per game.
Great. It's great. It's great.
Titanfall didn't take off.
It's funny, like 12 hours in a video game is like nothing.
Yeah.
Like if you tell somebody you have 12 hours in a game, they're gonna tell you to get good.
Yeah, no, it's like, so you haven't really played that game yet.
Like you're a noob. It's like I spent half a literal day.
So Rogue Company.
I'm excited for
that. You guys have played that. I haven't seen it at all.
This kind of goes back to the mouse and keyboard thing.
Yeah.
But, each station had 2 controllers, 2 mouse and keyboards.
Yeah.
And the 2 controllers got taken. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm learning on mouse and keyboard. And after each game, I kept doing that. I'm like, I'm starting to get the hang of this. This is fun. So I don't know. I'm excited for that.
I
think it's a great game.
I think it's competitive. It kind of has like that Fortnite feel with like the gunplay a little bit.
Yes.
Which
like Fortnite, Gears of War, Call of Duty mix, kind of.
without the building. And my one complaint with Fortnite is like I would play that game if there wasn't building.
Exactly.
Is it third person?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ty-Rez?
Yep.
I thought they already have Realm Royale.
They do.
Is it not a battle royale?
It's not a battle royale,
it's a Call of Duty. I said Call of Duty. It's like the gameplay itself, like the
drop into a map 4v4,
kill each other.
There's
some
what is that
objectives
game
too.
type on?
There's like search and destroy and
Yeah,
Search and
it's
destroy,
like
yeah.
that.
You plant
One bomb or something.
It's
like
different though. It's like you plant the hack and then you have to like defuse the hack.
Yeah.
It's a bomb.
Like
Love it.
CS:GO.
It's
Yeah.
dope, bro.
It's pretty good.
It's
You
CS:GO.
will love it. I swear.
We
It's
might
amazing.
be like a little bit like not. You know how like when you play something for a little bit and you didn't really get to fully investigate the game and you like think it's really good because of that.
Yeah.
We might be suffering from that a little bit where we think it's better than it is, but it was
Recency bias.
it was still pretty good.
But
Is it
we
like-
went
so
back
like
quite a
Siege?
few times.
Yeah. Well,
Not
no,
quite. No.
it's not as like mechanical as Siege, and it doesn't have as like you have to memorize camera angles and stupid stuff like that. I hate that.
It's
I like
dope.
everything about this.
Yeah.
You. I promise you'll.
I
love
like
it.
everything
We
It's
should
about
run.
so
this.
We
good.
can run some force, dude. We should
Yes.
we should just host a tournament. Honestly, is what we should do.
Play against the
We'll just-
podcast squad and
like
Rogue Company.
whenever they release Rogue Company, whenever like we'll give it a week, and so we can grind it for a week, and then we'll host a tournament here in Charlotte. It's just like, hey, let's do a
Come
Rogue
beat
Company.
Not a
play
bad
us.
idea.
Come beat the
come beat
Phoenix.
us. Yeah.
Because then it'll be so fresh. It'll be like
Let's
nobody
do
would.
it.
Uh,
Nobody
Everyone's
will beat
gonna
us.
be nasty at it.
That's
It's
what I
like-
want to start doing with like games. Is like whenever a new game comes out, tournament instantly. You know, like I know the drop date, and I'm like, okay, tournament's gonna happen. Especially if games come out and they're a little bit more built up to where like they have like the features inside of them that they're supposed to have when a AAA game releases.
Yeah.
For sure. I think
I
that'd
like
be,
that.
I think that'd be really fun.
We can expect that from Infinite with as long as they've taken to
I hope so, dude.
Develop
Because
it.
like,
Yeah.
do we have a release date yet for actual Halo or no?
holiday
Holiday
2020.
2020
okay,
is all
so-
they've given. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we could just be like January 5th. You know what I mean? Like right after, or around that time, and just like go.
Historically, it's like October to November.
We could do Tabers.
September to
We could do it here. We could just do it in the area.
Let's do it.
That'd
Yeah.
be dope. Any other games that are on your radar for 2020?
Overwatch 2.
Any other
Not-
games that are on your
Rumors of GTA 6 have started floating around.
this one? GTA 6?
Yep.
Those have started floating around.
The gunplay in that game is so awful, but I think it's a great game.
Yes.
It's hard. It's different, but that's because it's not the main part of the game.
Yeah.
It's true.
It feels heavy.
I think
It
that's
does.
like
It
the
feels so
ninth
heavy.
priority of
Ugh.
GTA.
Yeah, it's more about like social and all the stupid things you can do in the game.
flying a
Ugh.
Just
jet.
the open world. I can't get over the open world
Yeah, dude.
It's
It's
and all the
incredible.
randomness.
Yep.
You saw the clip of Blake was on a train. Police
The
are
cop
chasing
ran
him.
over the wild
A
pig.
wild boar goes out in front of the cop, and the cop
Out of
runs over a
nowhere.
wild
Do you
boar.
have a clip?
Like, are you
I
kidding
do.
me?
I get it in
Yo,
like,
send it to me and I'll put it in the video real quick so everybody can
Yes.
watch it. Okay, do
Yeah, so
It's so
check
random.
out this wild boar clip. Wasn't that hilarious?
Welcome back from the wild boar clip.
Oh my gosh. Pork's on the menu tonight. But
was
it
great.
blew my mind when I first went
Yeah.
through it. Like my wife was actually out of town for a week. She was in Asheville, and I
good times.
took off work for a
Gaming
week.
week.
And I got up at 9 or 10 a.m. and got
Just-
on from sun up to sundown.
Heck
GTA,
yeah, dude. That's awesome.
mixed in with a little Halo. It's that immersive.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. It was incredible.
Okay.
I can see why it's held its,
Yeah.
I guess, value for
That
so
and
long.
microtransactions. They don't need to make other games.
Yeah. There's just so many
And
games.
Red Dead.
It's like mini games within it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know how like
Yeah.
Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne had like all these custom games inside of it? That's like where Dota came from and League of Legends came from. They all came from that game because people made custom mods and they just stole them and took them in actual games. So like
what you-
developers aren't smart enough to come up with their own games. They have to copy everyone else.
Don't get me started. So what you're saying is more games need strip clubs.
I'm saying more games
No.
need editable, like the ability to create custom games inside of them, because that's where games are created by community and players than like actual developers
Mods,
and smart
yeah.
people that can write code and make beautiful things, because they just don't do it. You know what I mean? They're just bad at it. Like every game you've ever seen has come from another game that like normally a community made game. So give them a sandbox and let them play. Sorry. Any other games for 2020?
Overwatch 2?
Overwatch 2 does not count, by the way.
More Minecraft.
Okay, no. Okay. So if you're watching this video and you know of a game that's coming out 2020 that you think is super awesome that the world should know about, let me know in the comments, and then I'll make sure to include it in the bottom so that we can talk about some of those games in maybe the next podcast.
Subscriptions in games.
Subscriptions in games. Let's give us the intro.
Yeah, so it's why is it haunting? It's
'Cause
like
Do we like it
Netflix
or not? I don't
and
know.
Hulu and Disney Plus and like all these different like subscription based things that like exist now. You now have that with like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, Origin Access, EA Access, and like it's Spotify. Like I was able to go through Chegg.com and like rent my textbooks per month for school, like, and get complete online access.
That's
pay $8
Too
a month.
expensive, by the way, textbooks.
I'm
Right.
sure that
It's
even the
outrageous.
digital textbooks are really
Robbery.
expensive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, 'cause
so
you're
I
paying
pay
for
$8 a
knowledge.
month for
Whoa.
the 5 months, which, you know, that's not as much as
Yep.
$127 plus
Sure.
tax. And then at the end, I just cancel it. It's the same thing with Game Pass or EA Access or like the Apple Arcade, right?
Yep.
You just
Yep.
you play it when you want, and when you're done, you just cancel it, and you don't have to pay anything anymore. And I think on one hand, that's genius because, like, for example, for me, that I don't have necessarily the resources to buy every new $60 game that comes out that I may be interested in playing.
Mhm.
I could pay $14.99 a month, play the games on there that I really want to play and dump some time in, but also have the freedom to go try all these other things that, like, I may be interested in. And then
That you just never
Right.
tried because it's the
exactly
ease of
because it's
access.
$60
Yeah.
to even like try the game. And if you buy it digitally, which why wouldn't you?
Yep.
Like you can't return it. You can't get a refund, right? So
Yep.
then you're stuck $60 in on a game that's, you know, poop, right? So I think but on the other
Poop.
on the other hand, like how much are we going to be sacrificing in terms of, like, for example, the biggest properties on Netflix are Netflix properties,
Sure.
right? Like the biggest, the highest funded, the highest quality shows that go on to Netflix are Netflix shows or things that have been out for years,
Yep.
right? So are we in turn going to see actual companies that own, like, you know, that make games basically ruling the marketplace for those subscription services? Like, for example, on Xbox Game Pass, are the only funds for those games going to be sunk into Microsoft games?
Yeah.
Or are we going to see other things actually get the attention that they deserve as
Sure.
well? So
Yeah.
what are we going to sacrifice?
And like,
from a
what
dev
can they sell,
perspective?
right? Because what can Microsoft sell with the Game Pass that you can't get, kind of thing? So you have to have multiple subscriptions. It's like
Right.
very similar to like, okay, I can buy Hulu or Netflix or
Right.
Amazon Prime, or which one of those things am I gonna buy?
Right.
Right. So it's like, because each one of them has like one piece of content that I want to watch, which is super annoying,
Right.
right? So like, maybe at that point you just buy the game. I don't know,
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
like, but like, even when you get to a certain point where it's like, all right, well, you know, I'm paying for Game Pass, but then like they're taking this game away or they're adding this game, and I want to try this different thing. But it's usually older things that aren't like, you know, that have been out for like at least a year,
Sure.
right? Like Battlefront 2, like EA Access, right, on Xbox, they give you like a 10-hour trial when a new game comes out.
Oh, cool.
But then like very quickly before the release of the new one, like, or the next game that comes out, then you get access to the old one. So it's only once the old one becomes obsolete that you get full access to it with this thing, right? Because there's no funding there,
Sure.
right? So how much are the devs going to be sacrificing in terms of the quality of the games that they're putting out if more people are moving to subscription-based services and away from full-price games?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not against subscription services at all. I think that they're cool. I am against them, I guess, if they're crappy games, though. You know what I mean? Like, if the quality of the games just goes down because of and Game Pass is the exact opposite of that. Like, Gears 5 on itself, right? Like, and Halo, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. You know, but the only thing they catch me is, like, maybe I buy those games outright to begin with because I just like those games so much, you know? But it gives me the chance to try them, so I keep Game Pass just to try new games that come out. But, like, do I think that all of them will all live like on, you know, AAA titles being on Game Pass? I don't. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are going to want to get their money, you know, and it doesn't make sense in the long term for me to just keep Game Pass for $15 if I'm just going to buy one game and play it. And I feel like that's what a lot of gamers do, right? You buy your one game and you play the crap out of it until you're kind of like, okay, I need a new game for the most part. And you know, sometimes you'll visit it again, but for the most part, like, that's it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
In general, I like the subscription based because it's like I see it as a win-win on both sides for the gamer and for the business itself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the gamer gets to play games that they wouldn't spend on otherwise, you know. So it's just like, oh, this game, sure, I'll try it. Why not? I already have the subscription. And so it gives the gamer more games to play. And on the business side of things, they get constant money, you know, because if you think about it, let's say like Halo, if you're paying like, you know, $10 a month for Game Pass, I don't remember exactly how much it is, but in 6 months, that's going to be more than what the game is. So it's like, if someone only really plays Halo, and still pays for Game Pass, they're going to be paying really more in the long run for the game that they play most of the time.
And I feel like that's what you do, though. Like I don't know.
So it's kind of a win-win because the businesses get more money. The gamer gets more games to play that they wouldn't buy otherwise.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point, too. I didn't even think of it from that aspect, the whole developer side of things.
Yeah.
So
because that's how we get good games is they have to have the money to do it.
It's true.
To do
Yeah. And I mean, it's like the World of Warcraft model, right? Like you buy the game for $60 and you pay $15 a month after that.
Yep.
So it's like, and people do that, like World of Warcraft's huge. So it's
has been for years.
Yeah, and like you still have to pay $15 a month to play it. That's why I don't play
Crazy.
it anymore. Because I played it for a long time, and then I was like, "Okay, I'm done with this game." And then sometimes it calls back to me, and then I buy it for 4 months and play it, and then I miss my friends when that happens.
That's one of those games that you can't have a life and play World of Warcraft.
Nope.
Yeah,
Just too much.
Can't
Too much
do it.
depth.
you can't do it.
I'm not against the subscription model though. I'm not sure how much it resonates with the audience though if you still have to buy your game. You know what I mean?
you're saying with the World of Warcraft example?
Yeah, but
I don't
like
agree with
if
that.
you had to buy the game and you have your subscription model, like
No,
do I want I feel like I'm going to end up spending more.
No modern game would be able to do that. It's only because WoW is WoW that they can do that
Yeah.
still.
Well, the next WoW's got to come, right?
Right, and they're probably still going to do it. Why would they change? People are still going to play it.
It's true.
Like if you play WoW and you've been paying $15 for 15
Ever.
years,
Yeah.
like what are you going to stop?
If they did that for
So much
every
money.
game, would you stop gaming?
I wonder.
No, I would just
So-
be
No,
more
I would-
selective.
Could you? Okay.
Dang it. You know, it's also like the thing where consoles, the price goes up every year, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
is that going to start? Is my subscription model going to go up every year? You know what I mean? On
It
top
goes
of
up
it.
and then it
It
goes
may
down.
start doing that. That's a good point.
There's like at this point, like I would pretty much pay any level of money in order to be able to play to game.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just like if they were like, okay, it's now $1,000 to play any video game, I'd be like, I guess I gotta pay $1,000 now,
Like
dude.
$1,000
I mean,
up
with-
front, or
Yeah,
like, and
just-
like you get to play in it. Yeah,
Yeah, it just
I
like
would do it.
I
but like
mean-
if the barrier to entry to play video games was that high, I think there would still be a lot of people that'd be like, okay, I gotta find a way to get $1,000. So I
gotta
can pay
take out a
video-
loan.
Wow.
But like that's how committed we are. So it's like
Yeah.
I would max out a credit card.
it's my way of
I'd
it's
beg
like
my wife for money.
yeah. it's like instead of watching movies, I play video games. Instead of going to the
Yeah.
game, I play video games, and it's like I get my social interaction, I get my competitiveness. It's like
It's all of our passion. It's what
Yeah.
we love. Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
So I get that.
yeah, why would you? You could
Yeah.
just
Other
play
than
Rocket League.
sports,
Yeah, play right. Yeah,
once in a while,
I'll watch
other than
Twitch
watch
every now and
game.
again. Like that's But I'm good with the subscription model. Does anybody hate it? Like think the subscription model is like the worst
I don't
thing
see
in the
too
world?
many negatives in it.
I enjoy it too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So comment below your feelings on the subscription model. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Would you be willing to pay it? Do you have Xbox Live Game Pass and will you keep it forever? I have
Or
it.
Origin Access or EA Access.
Yeah, I've never heard of those. That's kind of dumb. Just kidding. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for the Charlotte Phoenix Rising, the Phoenix Rising, the Rising Phoenix.
We'll work
Phoenix
on that.
Rising.
Okay, that's gonna wrap it up for the Phoenix Rising. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you have any topics you want us to discuss you think are kind of controversial, we're going for controversial topics. Submit your questions to us in the comments below, and we'll talk about some of those things. We'll see you in the next one.
Fade out.